All right. So we are looking at solving a radical equation, and we have radicals on both sides here. So, that's complicated. It doesn't look simple. It ends up actually being not so bad. So let's take a look at this. So when you have these radical equations, you want to make sure first that you get rid of anything that's outside of the radicals, but these don't have anything on the outside. Everything in the equation is underneath the little radical signs, right? So we're good there. So the next step is that you would want to square the entire equation. Now that seems like it's going to be scary complicated, and it's actually super simple because the square root of a number squared is that number. If we have the square root of 10 squared, that is 10. The reason, one way to think of it is that there's an understood 2 there. It's probably the only time in math, at least that I can think of, where you have an understood 2. It's usually understood 1 everywhere, but there's an understood 2 here. Those two sort of cancel each other out. Okay. And so it leaves you with just whatever was underneath there to begin with. So when I square the square root of -1 minus 11a, I'm left with -1 minus 11a. When I square the square root of 3a plus 13, I'm left with 3a plus 13. Well, now we're back to an Algebra 1 solving equation that you saw earlier on in algebra. And I'm not saying this is a simple equation to solve because there are variables on both sides, but it's just like nicer than all that radical square root stuff. Okay. So you can start this in lots of ways. I'd probably start by adding 1 to both sides. So if you do it differently, but you get the same answer, then it's fine. There are lots of ways to solve from here. So notice that I brought down the -11a and the 3a, and then I've got 13 plus 1 is 14. And now I would subtract 3a from both sides. So 3 minus 3 is 0. -11 minus 3 is -14a equals +14. And the last step is to divide by -14. So I will say that if you solve this and you get +1 instead of -1, your solving was not as strong as it needed to be, and you need to look at how you did that. So do make a note of that. So we get -1 here. And so we're thinking, okay, this is probably our answer. It does say just check for extraneous solutions. And that's essentially saying, make sure that if a -1 goes in for A, make sure that's not going to give you a negative number under here. So let's check the first one. Square root of -1 minus 11, A. And for A, I'm going to put in a -1. So negative times negative is positive. So this will be -1 plus 11, which is 10. That's funny that that's the number. I didn't realize that when I did that. Okay. So square root of 10. That's fine. You can have a positive number. So that's okay. Let's check it over here. Square root of 3a plus 13. I'm going to plug in a as -1. So that would be -3 plus 13. 13 minus 3 is 10. Yeah, that works. And it is balanced. That helps us to know that too, because those are the same. So square root of 10, all good. So the answer or the solution is that A is -1. All right. I hope that was helpful. I'll see you next time.